Why don't you wear a suit?
Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, you have problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have such.
Office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe
something like yours. Yes. Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than yeah.
You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to
respect
you.
To your
far
country.
more than a lot of people said they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this
even
entire
today.
meeting, have you said thank
even
you?
today.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
you
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you through this
said,
$350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West
if
people?
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In two thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
I can tell you
You're
again,
running low
I
on
know.
soldiers. Listen,
Don't
you're
please,
running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this.
What happens when a diplomatic meeting turns into a shouting match on camera? Ask that to two elected presidents, Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine and Donald Trump of the United States, and they would tell you about it. A 10-minute verbal spat between the two leaders was seen live by millions around the world. It was like a soap opera playing in real time when diplomatic courtesies went out of the window and ended up being a disaster of epic proportions, unprecedented in its truest sense. Or to put it in other words, it was like another episode of reality TV show Big Boss, when contestants just go after each other from day one. Call it what you want. This argument with Trump and Vice President Vance on one side and Zelensky on the other has taken the internet by storm. Several world leaders have reacted and standing by Volodymyr Zelensky. Russia says Zelensky deserves it and praised Trump for whatever transpired. What's worse is that this embarrassing exchange didn't take place behind closed doors. It happened inside the Oval Office with reporters in attendance. The iconic spot, the Oval Office is the iconic spot in the White House where US presidents have entertained global leaders over the years, where courtesies have been exchanged before getting down to work. But what triggered this particular spat between Donald Trump and Zelensky? And what happened after that? Hello and welcome, I'm Shubham Chohan. Let's get started. So Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was the latest guest at the White House yesterday. He was there to meet US President Donald Trump. Now, Trump welcomed the man who he called a dictator not too long ago. On the agenda was a deal between Kiev and Washington alongside talks on the war, of course. The deal was expected to allow the US greater access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals. A joint press conference and lunch was also scheduled for later. But before that, the two leaders met at the Oval Office. Dozens of reporters and camera persons were in attendance. For about 38-39 minutes, smiles, handshakes were exchanged, the usual courtesies. Until Zelensky pretty politely raised a question over what Vice President Vance said.
And the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 is
Well, 2014.
Yeah. So
I
he killed,
was not here.
Yeah, but,
That's exactly
but
right.
yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong,
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems.
And all hell broke loose. Heated, condescending arguments followed. For the next 10 minutes, Trump and Vance pounced on Zelensky, from asking the Ukrainian president whether he said thank you to America for the help, to how Kiev was alive in this war thanks to US military's assistance, how Zelensky was gambling with the lives of millions of people, and even World War III. Diplomacy gave way to mayhem in front of the international media.
very loudly about the war.
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't been
in this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have our military equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on out here. I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long.
In fact, this visual of Ukraine's ambassador to the US, Oksana Markarova, putting her hand on the head was quite something. In fact, before this blow-up took place, Zelensky was put in what many called a humiliating spot. Now, Zelensky was wearing his signature clothes, the kind he has been sporting at global events and within the war-hit country too for the last 3 years. A reporter there asked him as to why he was not wearing a suit to the meeting and whether he actually owned one or not. Here's what Zelensky replied.
Why don't you wear a suit?
Why?
Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's office and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if you do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I don't have
the
such.
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one.
Maybe something like this.
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than
Once the Oval Office showdown ended, reports said Trump was in a huddle with his team. This included Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, among others. Zelensky and the Ukrainian delegation was in the other room, where foreign leaders reportedly sit. Now, Reuters reported that Trump directed 2 top aides to tell Zelensky and the Ukrainian delegation that it was time to leave the White House, even as attendants were preparing to serve lunch to the delegations. Reportedly, the Ukrainians were told to leave in no uncertain terms, despite Kiev's desire to continue the talks. So, Zelensky left the White House and headed straight to Fox News' office for an interview. Trump, meanwhile, was on his way to Florida after this verbal showdown with Zelensky. Now, during the Fox News interview, Zelensky was asked about this verbal spat he had with Donald Trump. Zelensky said he was not sure that they did something bad. They, as in Ukrainians, did something bad, but conceded that the spat was bad from both sides. The Ukrainian president didn't apologize for what happened, yet he was confident that Kiev and Washington's relationship can be salvaged. In fact, here's what he said. Yes, of course, because it's relations more than two presidents. It's the historical relations, strong relations between our people, and that's why I always began to thank your people from our people. I just want to be honest, and I just want our partners to understand the situation correctly. And I want to understand everything correctly. That's about us not to lose our friendship. European leaders quickly condemned Trump and Vance for disrespecting Zelensky. Russia, of course, was enjoying what happened. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said that Trump had shown restraint by not physically assaulting Zelensky during the exchange. But what explains this unprecedented showdown? Reports say Trump's frustration was in the making for some time. His aim since campaigning days has been to stop the war between Russia and Ukraine. And Trump hasn't shied away from criticizing Zelensky, even calling him a dictator. Remember, the United States of America has spent more than $119.7 billion on aid to Ukraine between January 2022 and December 2024. Trump wants to stop all of that. A Reuters report says that Trump told his inner circle that he doesn't like how Zelensky has been trying to drum up US support for Ukraine. Trump even claimed that Zelensky used showmanship to try and win points with the media and Congress. The report adds that Trump even checked with some of his officials whether the United States could force elections in Ukraine through peace negotiations. Trump has also directed his team to keep minimal contact with Zelensky's top aide, Andrei Yermak. Yermak had a close working relationship with former President Joe Biden's security advisor, Jake Sullivan. So basically, Trump sees Volodymyr Zelensky as an obstacle in his and Putin's joint effort to stop the war. So what next for Zelensky? Some Trump administration officials say that all US aid to Ukraine, including the final shipments of ammunition and equipment which was authorized and paid for during the Biden administration, could be cancelled immediately. And needless to say, the minerals deal between Kiev and Washington is off the table now. Trump is not interested to pursue this anymore. Some believe this deal had some potential to gain support from Trump for Kiev. So that's not happening either. The deal is not happening. And in more bad news for the Ukrainian president, Trump has been openly showing support for Russian President Vladimir Putin. Reports say Trump trusts Vladimir Putin and the Russian president's sincere desire to end the war. Of course, many Western officials don't agree with this assessment. The United States, in fact, even sided with Russia earlier this week at the United Nations on a resolution condemning Moscow for the war. As for the Zelensky-Trump spat, it was a classic example of how to not treat a guest and also the ugly side of what happens when gloves are off in a verbal showdown. That's all we have for this report. Do like and share this video, comment and let us know what your views are, and subscribe to HW News English on YouTube for more such videos. Thanks for watching.